Well, we all know it was split a three-way race. I mean, it was a real sort of race on between Penny Mordaunt and Liz Truss to get the final of the two. I mean, I do remember, though, during the early stages of the campaign, that Team Rishi were going around the tea room saying they were expecting to get 200 plus. They didn't. They got less than half the parliamentary party. And in fact, fewer votes than Boris got at the recent confidence vote. In fact, fewer votes than those who voted against Boris. But the key is that Liz attracts people from across the party. And I think the message of tax cutting and boosting economic growth in order to help public services in the long term is something which is going to really resonate well with the members and the wider public.
Now, Graham Stewart, who's also, like you, supported Liz Truss, is reported yesterday to have said that Liz Truss is not the slickest. Would you agree with Graham Stewart about that?
Well, I've seen Liz behind closed doors, so to speak. I was a PPS in the Treasury. I've known her for a few years. I've always found her actually to be a warm and engaging person, and perhaps sometimes in the public that has not come across to the degree to which we would like it to do so, or she would probably like it to do so. But I think that is changing. And then also, I think people want real substance. They want to see something that actually is a plan to get this country out of the torpor that we're in at the moment. And she's got a 3-point plan. You know, we're going to see energy bills fall because the green levy will be got rid of, and I think that's a fantastic thing. Personally, myself, for my constituents, corporation tax, which is higher than France. Just sort of let that settle in for a moment. I mean, that's an absolute nonsense. 2 years after Brexit, and finally making the most of Brexit. There's 2,400 EU laws which can be amended or abolished to make us more competitive. Many of them, frankly, are utter nonsense. So those are three things that she can do straight away in order to improve our competitiveness. And I think if people see that, they'll come to her banner.
Julian, I've got to pick you up there on Brexit, because it does make me smile. Obviously, I was working with Jeremy, and the abuse, he was a Remainer. How could you work with somebody who'd voted Remain? So what we've got here now, and everybody seems to have forgotten this, or not, why is it then, and how do you feel that you can back somebody not only voted Remain, but absolutely went out there and fought hard for Remain, and was formerly a Lib Dem? What's going on, Julian? Explain what you're doing.
I mean, I think the Lib Dem line is a nonsense. We're talking about university, for crying out loud. I mean, I was a member of the Trampolining Society at university, which basically was just drinking. So
you could be bouncing
let's
around.
Just forget about that from 30 years ago. OK. Now, when it comes to Brexit, I think the key is that if you are going to have Brexit, and Liz was, as you say, identified for Remain, the thing is, you've got to do it properly. What you can't do is end up in this sort of Wilson Heath pre-EU sort of economy, by which we actually end up as regulated as the EU, but with higher taxes and without public services that really we want to see. So, you know, if you are going to have Brexit, you have to do it properly, which means you have to deregulate, which means effectively you have to cut taxes, and you need to make yourself more competitive than our competitors. And I'm afraid I don't think as a country yet we've grasped the nettle of Brexit at all. And I think we've got to do it. And I really do believe that Liz is the only candidate who has genuinely identified that as a major issue and a path forwards.
Just quickly, Julian, I mean, Liz's policy on Brexit has been slightly different to other people. Most people who voted Remain have said, you know, well, look, you know, there was a result. We're Democrats. We accept the result. We said we'd implement the result, and we're going to do that. Liz has been slightly different. She said, I campaigned for Remain, but I was wrong. I should have voted Brexit and supported Brexit, which is quite interesting. I just wondered, given by her own admission, she was wrong about the single biggest issue that's faced the country over the last 50 years or so. Why should somebody who got the biggest call wrong, why should they become Prime Minister?
Well, she's certainly right over, for example, the big issue that's facing us right now over the Ukraine. She's showing great leadership there as a foreign secretary and has really taken the fight to Putin, who is currently running amok in Europe. So I think a moment in time 6 years ago, she made a call. It was a marginal call for many people across the country. It was 52-48. I'll be honest with you, you know, I don't think that really it helps anyone actually in the Conservative Party more widely if we forever sort of stay in those sort of sort of, traps, if you like, of being remain or leave. The truth of the matter is about what you make of it. We're all patriots. We want to see our country progress. And at the moment, we've still got the dead hand of 2,400 EU regulations pressing down on our economy. And we've got a tax rate that's higher than France. This is not what Brexit's supposed to be. Brexit, for me, is about deregulation. It's about the idea, effectively, of being nimble on your feet and making the most of yourselves.
Julian Knight, thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning.